Well, hello, beautiful Sex, Love, and Elephants listeners. Welcome to this week's episode of the show where I'm going to talk about the three main reasons couples break up. Yes, it's the month of Fall into Love. This is going to be a really exciting month on the show. And in terms of my work, just to remind you, if you don't already know, once a year, I offer an extraordinary opportunity to work with me live for 12 weeks. I do live coaching every week. I answer your questions and you get the entire Become Passion program curriculum. This is an immersion program for couples. I designed and debuted in 2020. I've taken 6 groups of couples through the program in the past 3.5 years. Almost 500 couples, including 100 police officers and their spouses, talk about some extra challenges to relationships for any of you who work dangerous jobs, first responders, shift work, etc., moving around the country all the time. And it's an incredibly powerful program where I teach you the 3 keys to passion. I call them the 3 key areas all healthy couples, reasonably good couples, couples who can go the distance, need to develop skill in. You might have a bit of skill in some of these areas already. I help you recognize it and build on it, and then build skills in communication, conflict resolution, forgiveness, apology, talking about your deep hopes and dreams. That's the intimacy part. Then there's thrill, falling back in love, finding attraction again. If you're stuck in marriage incorporated, which is the term I use, or relationship incorporated, whoever you love, however you love, LGBTQ, polyamory, whoever you are, whatever you are, if you're attempting long-term love with one person, maybe more than one person, but generally one person with my audience, how do you do it well? Thrill. Relationship incorporated or marriage incorporated is when you're kind of just phoning it in. Maybe you love each other, but you're not in love anymore. And you're running the business of your life, your mortgages, your kids, your retirement funds, your vacations. But where's the specialness, the joy, the delight? Yeah, the horniness, the desire, the fun, and the respect you had for each other in the beginning. Often we allow the vagaries and difficulties of life to really impact our love affair. So this is the second key area I cover in the program. There are building blocks based in couples therapy, sexual therapy. This stuff works. Don't take my word for it. You can hear from other couples who've been in the program, and I hope to have some of those couples on this podcast this month as well. I kick off November 3rd this year, 2023. We'll begin the program. We take some time off over the holidays, and we wrap up together in January 2024. What about entering next year with a stronger, deeper relationship? But wait, Cheryl, what's the third thing? Communication and intimacy and psychological closeness and all those skills, thrill and interest, and seeing your partner again as the amazing person they are instead of being stuck in, kind of phoning it in relationship. The third aspect is sensuality and sexuality. It would blow your minds how rare it is for couples therapists to talk about your sexual life. Doesn't that seem completely insane? Because it is. The majority of couples therapists are very, very good at what they do, which is more the communications, the issues, so much of the work. But the majority of couples therapists are not trained in sexual therapy. It's a separate related aspect of therapy. I always combine the two. A lot of the couples who join my program are looking to reinvigorate a dead sex life. They haven't made love in months or even years, about 30 to 40%. Others do make love, but it's fairly mediocre, fairly boring. How can they make it more exciting, etc.? That's the program. If you want to learn more, make sure you get on the wait list. And let me reassure you, all that means is you'll be the first to hear about when I teach some extraordinary free content through the month of October. I'm going to be teaching a couple of live Zoom classes where you can join and get coaching from me and get your questions answered one-on-one only in October. And it's a lead up to this program that's free. It's just to get a sense of what it's like to work with me, and so I can help you whether the program's right for you or not. And also at the end of October, I'll be teaching my patented, what I call the Passion Masterclass. This is a 90-minute workshop. You're not on camera. It's not on Zoom. It's completely anonymous and confidential on your end. But it's a live workshop. I'll teach it 4 or 5 times. So you can find the day and time that works for you. Don't worry. You'll get the link to choose your time if you're on our wait list. And that alone is incredibly helpful for your relationship. At the end of that, you also get a chance to ask me your questions. So this is the best month to be a Dr. Cheryl Fraser follower in a way of the year, because there's so much extra content coming to you. Get on the wait list. The link should be below where you're listening to this podcast, or simply go to my website, drcherylfraser.com. And if you look in the news section on the side of the homepage, it will say join the waitlist here, or you can scroll right down to the bottom of that first page, and there's a chance to join the waitlist again. That simply means that we're going to send you, hey, Cheryl's teaching these 2 free Zoom classes in the next 2 weeks. Here's the link to join if you'd like to join and get some help for free. Hey, Cheryl's teaching her Passion Masterclass on these different dates and times. It's live. Each one's live. I teach at 5 separate times. Each one's live with you. So if you're on live, you get your questions answered by me. Sign up here. And a few other really good goodies. People on the wait list who do decide to join the program. I take about 100 couples only. You get some special perks if you're on the wait list as well. So let's get to today's topic, which is what are the most common reasons couples break up? And to contextualize that, I'm talking about couples in a committed relationship that they intended to be a long-term relationship. So that would be you've committed to a monogamous relationship with someone if that's your model. And you might be married, you might be engaged, you might be living together. You might be what's called LTA, living together apart, which is you're committed, you're monogamous, but you have 2 different houses for business reasons or personal preference reasons. But this is your person you've chosen, they've chosen you, and your intention is to be together long-term, or maybe till death do us part. Why do long-term couples, or maybe shorter-term couples, but who did commit, that they meant this to be their long-term person, what are the most common reasons couples break up? Some of them won't surprise you. Some of them will. One reason long-term couples break up is the one that won't surprise you as much, which is a lot of unproductive, even damaging, even verbally abusive arguing. So a lot of conflict, and there's so many different styles of this conflict. One of them can be, you're pretty nice to each other. You don't have big verbal arguments. You don't swear, yell, threaten to get a divorce, and the things that many of us do when we're flooded, when we're over emotional, when we're having a important argument to us that triggers us, that I cover in depth in the Become Passion Couples program. I spend the first 4 weeks of our 12 weeks together on various skills to recognize destructive arguing styles, how to mediate them, because they're hard to fix entirely, but tools to help you stop the carnage, to repair, to find ways to talk about the difficult stuff using a structure I teach that really gives you a structure to approach difficult conversations and more. So maybe your style isn't that. Some couples break up because they fight a lot of what are called by different researchers and clinicians perpetual problems or repeating problems, or in your own despair as a couple, the crap we fight about all the time and it never changes. I've got some bad news and then good news for you. All of us couples have some basic fundamental differences in our upbringing, in our attitudes, in how we approach things that are probably never going to change. I taught this morning a group of the couples I work with. There's the Become Passion program I teach once a year. That's the 12-week immersion. Take about 100 couples. And some of those couples then choose to continue working with me in an ongoing monthly program. And I just had their once a month call this morning and Zoom coaching. And it came up a lot about people who don't have big bad arguments. They don't get what's called flooded over emotional, and I don't mean that in a pejorative way, but literally you're flooded. Let me briefly teach that. Flooded is when you're triggered and you're anxious or angry or defensive or upset in a way that you become locked and loaded on your point of view. What actually happens, it's like the physiological fight or flight if your life's in danger. Believe it or not, that's completely scientifically, biochemically, and physiologically accurate. I can be arguing with my partner about something not very important in the big picture of life, but I can get triggered by that. It brings up stuff from childhood, or I feel like you're not listening to me, or I'm not important. And when the body goes into a flooded state of fight or flight or freeze, our biochemistry gets dumped with cortisol and adrenaline. There's certain neurological changes that can happen. And effectively, you're not rational. The forebrain, the executive functioning, this big old thing at the front of the human brain that's useful for making rational decisions, kind of doing a quick cost-benefit analysis of whether we should do this or not. Like, don't tell your boss to take a flying F at the moon when you're annoyed because you'll get fired. That executive functioning might stop you from doing that. When we're flooded, And we tend to get flooded more with our partner than anywhere else because the stakes are higher. Lots more about that in the program. We are not entirely rational. We're in more or less reptilian or animal brain, which is I'm going to fight you, or I'm going to run away, or I'm going to stay here frozen and overwhelmed, the typical deer in the headlights analogy, and I can't say anything at all. Does that sound familiar? One of the main reasons long-term couples break up is their arguing style. I'm talking here about the most sort of dramatic and damaging arguing style, flooded arguments, perpetual problems. We never seem to effing solve anything. And it just keeps going. And finally, it wears us down to the point where literally we might break up and or divorce, etc. There are also couples listening and couples in my programs and friends and family who don't have big, more damaging, overtly damaging, obvious bad arguments. Like I said, they don't name call, get verbally abusive, or get super flooded, or get defensive or contemptuous. We cover all this in the program, and I've got special guests that come in to address some of these issues to give you more information. It's quite an amazing program. I'm wildly proud of it. Over 500 couples now, just under 500, 495, I think, have taken this program. And I hope you'll be one of them, one of the 100 or so I work with, kicking off November 3rd. But some of you might not be ugly fighters. Some of you might have more of a quiet style of avoidance. And what can lead to the demise of some relationships is we don't talk about the big stuff. One or both of us is conflict avoidant, usually due to training in our childhood or in our life, maybe a previous relationship that was fairly verbally abusive or negative, and we swore we'd never be like that again. So we're afraid to bring up the question about money, that we're really worried that we're overspending. We're afraid to bring it up with our current partner because of the past, with other people or our childhood, or our parents maybe fought about money all the time. We're afraid to bring up our question about sexuality, that we're feeling neglected in that area, and we're lonely. We want to make love more. We're afraid to bring it up. A small proportion of the couples that work with me in the program are champion avoiders. They haven't talked about the big stuff for so long. They've got piles of elephant dung in their bedroom, in their living room, in their life, that that they're tiptoeing around, all the elephant dung in the room of the things we can't talk about. And then some of you are more in the middle. You do argue, but it's not the big kind of blow up, damaging, overtly, obviously damaging, flooded, fight or flight, nasty arguments. But it can also be like low grade criticism from one to the other, not necessarily in both directions, like do this differently, or I don't like the way you do that, or why do you do this, or why did you park there? To some of you, excuse me, that might sound quite trivial. It's not. Chronic, low grade, pointing stuff out, being critical, saying you'd like it another way. Why did you do this? My way is better. Even if you're not overtly unkind about it, can be very, very damaging. So one of the main reasons, I'm going to give you 3 today, that longer term couples break up is the lack of skill in conflict management. How to fight fair, I like to call it. You're going to argue, whatever your style is, quietly, loudly, destructively, or more calmly. And if those arguments don't get anywhere, how familiar does this sound? Same damn topic. You've talked about what feels like a million times. One of the things we shouldn't do when we fight fair is exaggerate, but it feels like a million times. And no matter how many times I say it, no matter how many times you act like you understood it, nothing changes. These are the perpetual repeated arguments. They can wear you down to where you break up. So hardly surprising that one major cause of long-term committed people breaking up at any age, in your 20s or in your 80s, is you don't have the skill to manage communication well, to talk about the really hard stuff in a way that's productive and leads somewhere, to not sweat the small stuff, to oversimplify, where you don't have to pick on every single damn thing. Deeper ability to understand your partner's point of view. That's one of the most powerful things I cover in the program that I get every time, every new group of couples each year. I get amazing feedback on what that alone did to change their relationship. Understanding this partner is different than you. This is a complex, wildly different from you human being. Of course, they're not going to see everything the same way. Can you approach that with a heart of love, the way you might your best friend who's super different than you? Or do you approach it with a heart of, why aren't you more like me? And I don't like sharing my house with someone that doesn't do everything my way. So that's the first big reason. And it's based on studies of divorce and breakup, et cetera. It's not just something I'm making up in some trivial way. Please be reassured. The second reason of many, but these are the preponderance ones. This one may surprise you a little bit more. This one is what I would call we just drifted apart, or we gradually found we had less in common, or it was okay, but it just wasn't that great. And then one, not always both, quite often this breakup of a long-term commitment is one person that feels, I want more. I want more what? You can probably fill in that blank really well and very adeptly right now yourself, and you already have. I want more, excuse me. I want more romance. I want to feel special again. I want to feel like I'm my partner's most important person. I want them to light up at least some of the time when I walk in the room. I want more passion. I want more fun and dates and adventures together. I want more sexuality. I want more eroticism. I want to feel sexy and like you think I'm sexy and you are attracted to me and I drive you crazy. I want what we had in the beginning. The majority of us had more passion, more attraction, more fun. We were way better when we were dating at making sure our partner felt cherished and adored. We thought of exciting dates to take them on. Gosh, my first birthday together with my now husband, we've been together 10 years, married about 4 or 5 now. My first birthday, he planned this amazing outing for me. He found on Airbnb on a small island next to Vancouver Island where we make our home. You have to take a ferry to this other small island, but it was one of the top rated, most interesting Airbnb homes. It was on this little island. And it was like, I forget what it was called, but like a wattle and daub stone and thatch roof, really cool cottage in the middle of like this sheep meadow. And he took me there and it was so romantic and so cool. Roaring fireplace, homemade banana bread. The host left us for breakfast. And my favorite part, along with all the romance and sex and delight we had, was the sheep came and looked in the windows. So in the morning, when you opened the curtains to the sliding glass door, there was a sheep. Hello, how's it going? I'm a sheep. So he planned this really romantic surprise getaway, the first birthday we had together, my birthday. He did that for about 3 or 4 years. The last 4 or 5 years, Sweetie's not been so good at that. So we had some skillful conversations because we do the become passion work together a lot. I don't preach what I don't practice. That would be disingenuous and you deserve better. Do that again. I don't preach what I don't practice. That would be disingenuous and you deserve better. So my partner, my husband and I do all this work ourselves. So we had a big talk instigated by me about, hey, honey, we're not bringing as much interest, as much spice, as much playfulness, as much fun dating, fun getaways and romance. We need to improve that. One of the other main reasons couples break up is they drift apart. I call that the thrill part of the 3 things I teach. I mentioned off the top today. How can we recreate thrill with the one we're already with? Clearly, it's hard to recreate. You're brand new to me. I'm super horny and excited. That novelty and biochemistry and lust and craziness of the early days or months or even year and a half, that mostly fades away biophysiologically after about 18 months, that falling in love, altered sense of chemistry. By the way, the biochemistry, according to functional MRI machines, of falling in love, the neurology is similar to the neurology of obsessive compulsive disorder. So we almost literally are madly in love when we're falling in love. It's a false state. It's a delightful state. I love falling in love. It's like the best roller coaster ride in the world, but roller coasters eventually have to come into the station. And then what? How do we keep the thrill alive? Or for many of us who've really let it fade away, we haven't been intentional about our relationship. We're not investing in our love affair, in our romance, in making sure our partner is reminded that they are a glittering star in our world. We become complacent. We become lazy, we become bored, and we become boring. This is what I call marriage incorporated or relationship incorporated, where we raise the kids well and we pay the mortgage and we go to the movies once a month and it's fun and I like you. I don't want to break up with you, I don't think. I don't want to seek an affair, although this is a great setup for affairs, is when you're in marriage boredom, marriage incorporated, relationship incorporated. We want spice, we want thrill, we want delight, we want horniness, we want sex, we seek elsewhere. But the affair is less common as the predicator of this type of why people break up. Is just one of you's like, I want more. I've talked to you about it skillfully, not generally very unskillfully, complaining, blaming the partner. You need to romance me more. I'm not attracted to you anymore. Our sex life is boring. What are you doing to step up? I really work with both people and the couples in my program, wherever we're at, to both be bringing movement, both be stepping up. We both need to improve. That's why I call my program Become Passion. We've got to become what we seek, as well as sitting around wanting our partner to be sexier and romance us and be great to us. Well, how attractive am I right now? My arms crossed and frowning. You're this, you're not this. You used to romance me. You used to take me on these great birthday trips, and now you don't anymore. I teach you how to raise these concerns skillfully and get somewhere. I have no interest in work that doesn't lead to results. So, to review, one main reason long-term couples break up: arguing style, lack of communication, not being able to communicate skillfully or clearly, not being able to figure out how to deal with the big stuff in a way that leads to some kind and effective results. Also, not learning how to really communicate your hopes and dreams, to have your partner's back, to support them through their work crisis or their dying parent, etc. Second main reason I'm bringing to you today is I love you, but I'm not in love with you anymore. I'm done. I want more. I want a new relationship to spark me up, and I'm going to walk away from this one. Some of my favorite couples I've had the honor to work with in the program are couples who chose to join my program as kind of the last resort. Usually one person much more motivated than the other. If I'm the one who's like, I'm kind of done. I don't think I want to be with you anymore. I'd like to go have a more exciting new relationship. I still care about you. And then there's the partner who often is like, but wait, we deserve more investment. We deserve more time. Are you willing to take this program with me? And reluctant partner says, well, we've had 10 years or 30 years or 5 years or 45 years. Yes, I'm willing to do this, but don't get your hopes up. I'm not promising this will work. I love those couples where I teach them and they look at what went wrong. They look at what they're doing that's destructive. I teach them how lazy, and I don't mean that meanly, I mean at wake-up call wise, how lazy they've been about their relationship, how much more their relationship and their partner deserves from each of them. And that it's not the job of just one of you to fix it, even if one of you is more of the problem than the other. Might be 90-10, might be 50-50, but both people need to do some changing and have some flexibility and some willingness to improve the relationship. So the second reason a lot of couples divorce, break up, dissolve what was meant to be a long-term or permanent partnership is boredom, looking for the next big thing. The stats on second marriages are pretty dismal. The divorce stats are really hard to pin down. You've all heard studies that 50% of marriages end in divorce, etc. There really isn't a fully accurate measurement of that, but it's pretty high. Just think of your own circle of family and friends. But the stats on second marriages are no better. In fact, there's sometimes even a higher likelihood in some studies that your second marriage or long-term commitment, I don't give a poop if you're legally married or not, but you've got a long-term commitment to someone, more than the second marriage has an even higher divorce rate. What does that teach you? That when we leave person one and fall madly in love on a great roller coaster ride with person number two, we bring the same unskillful behaviors with us, as do they. Hopefully we've learned some stuff. Hopefully we've got some more skill. But if you can hunker down with the person you're with and learn these tools and go through a program like mine or some other excellent resource, you can fall back in love over and over again with the one you're already with, which is a phrase I use a lot. The third reason for today's podcast I want to bring you as to why people often leave a long-term commitment is sexual issues. That is a giant topic. I spend the latter 4 weeks of the 10 to 12 week program on sexuality. I'm a sex therapist, clinical psychologist, Fulbright scholar, super well trained. I've taught for Tony Robbins. I've taught for Jack Canfield of Chicken Soup for the Soul. I've been quoted in the New York Times, Cosmopolitan Magazine, and more. I say that to reassure you, not to brag, but to reassure you. I'm a very, very well trained clinician and scientist. I was accepted to Harvard Medical School. I chose to go into clinical psychology instead because I want to heal the mind, the heart, the relationship, and the soul. And other skilled people can heal the body. But I do have a great scientific background as well, which is why I talk about neurology and physiology a lot, because it's so important. We're a body mind. The third main reason are sexual issues. I'm a trained sex therapist. We talk about a lot in the Become Passion program, from low or no desire. One or both partners having very little or no sexual desire for their partner and no arousal. The first thing I have you do is a questionnaire on your own for yourself. Your partner does that one separately. When we hit that third part of the program, what I call the sensuality part, is what turns you on and what turns you off. A deep dive into your own sexual responsivity. Another major topic is no sex at all. A sexless relationship is defined as making love 6 or fewer times a year. Slightly different definitions in different studies, but that's the one I tend to use. But about 30 to 40% of the couples who join Become Passion are not having sex at all, and they join it because they want to move back toward a sensual life together. Excuse me. I have to edit this throat clearing out too. So we take a deep dive into the causes of desire, the causes of loss of desire, physical, mental, emotional, and relationship. We talk about sexual performance functions during pregnancy, after childbirth, as aging, postmenopause, erection difficulties, premature ejaculation. We talk about the technical side of actual performance issues. And I work a lot with the mindset around our sexual life, because on the roller coaster, I wanted to jump my sweetheart all the time. And we weren't that young. We met when I was 49 and he was 48. And we were so crazy passionate for each other. We had sex all the time, sometimes several times a day. Then aging, menopause, relationship incorporated in time. We're 10 years older now. We have to really mindfully cherish and support our sensual and sexual life. And this is one of the beautiful parts of the testimonials you can watch. There's a testimonial reel of some couples, a video talking about their experience of the Become Passion program that you can watch when you go to the waitlist page. It's on there. And absolutely humbling, moving, beautiful stories of couples in their 70s, couples in their 40s, different ages, who started making love again through working through the Become Passion program. Now, you notice the sexuality part is the last third of the program, because I know, any skilled professional knows, you can't fix sexual problems without taking a deeper dive into the whole relationship as well. That's why I structure the whole program, all of what I teach, this podcast, my videos on YouTube, and etc., around what I call the passion triangle, these 3 key areas: communication and all the psychological stuff, the couple skills that none of us are taught, the thrill, the falling in love, the really making the effort to show appreciation and delight and joy for your partner, and so much more, and then the sensual side. It is something I'm deeply proud of. It's my life's work, and I really look forward to meeting some of you, because a few of you that were doing the challenge in the summer and doing the dates and the fun things we challenge you to do, and you emailed in, you said, I can't wait for the program. When does it start? So it may or may not be right for you, but if you'd like to learn more about it, go to the waitlist page and get on the waitlist so you can be invited to all the free offerings I'll be doing in this month to come. And then you can decide for yourself whether you want to take this amazing journey with me and about 100 other couples. Okay, so that brings us to today's LoveByte. Here it is. Great couples are not an accident. We need to cultivate all 3 sides of the passion triangle to become the passion we desire and fall in love again with the one we're already with. Thank you so much. See you in a week. Bye for now.